Welcome to An Engineer's Life, Episode 14, Planning Your Messy Day. My name is Dave Roysum. Here we continue our conversation from previous clips about making the best use of the time that we do have. Here we have a messy day to contend with. In the previous clip, life was simple. In industrial engineering, we call this deterministic. This means that we can determine the time it takes to do something, and that time does not vary significantly. In this clip, life will get messier and more real. Here, times are variable. That means you will have one critical path if a subtask takes a shorter time, and another critical path if the subtask takes a longer time. To make progress with this messiness, we need to do bounding and estimating. We may then have contingency plans if a key task, one on the critical path, takes more or less time. If less, we may be prepared to insert short, miscellaneous tasks in between. I will always have a list of 4 big things to do in a day and 40 little things to choose from if I have an unexpected time slot open up. So, let's begin with an everyday example of mealtime. Oh, hi dear. I didn't hear you come in. How was your day? Oh, wonderful. I'm glad that meeting went well for you. Any ideas for supper? Oh, that sounds wonderful. Any idea what time it'll be ready? The inevitable result of this query is, it depends. You've all heard the frustrating non-reply reply. Of course, it depends. But what it depends on is not answered. So we are stuck. Also, perhaps as is important to what we eat is when we will eat, and that is still not answered either. So we are really stuck. Until we at least have a range, we cannot optimize our many possible miscellaneous tasks to fit in that remaining time. So, at the risk of offending my otherwise wonderful wife, I have created a supper time estimator. So, let's map out our everyday example of mealtime. The "it depends" is mostly answers when we choose the meal. If the meal is simple and the ingredients are already at hand, the total time is minimal. If, on the other hand, the meal is complicated, we may need to go to the store and get a missing item, and the cooking time will be increased. This range of min to max is captured with this simple chart. Once activity timings are determined, we can then build on those bounding times to get actual clock time. If, for example, the question is first asked at 2:30 p.m., well, that obviously is the earliest start time. However, one can seldom gracefully drop everything to start a new activity, so the expected start time might be a half hour later, say 3 p.m., or possibly as late as 4 p.m. if my wife needs to finish a more involved activity first. We can build on that and add even more structure to our stochastic plan. Our conclusion is that in most cases, when the question is asked at 2:30, we may be able to have our normal meal time at the usual 5:30. However, worst case would be 6:10 p.m. if shopping and meal preparation times were each at their upper bounds. So then, we must have a prioritized list of miscellaneous activities in mind, or better yet, on paper. The first thing will be to see which of these might fit that now just open time slot Then we filter down one more time again to see which one might make sense. If, for example, it is raining, you don't want to go clean the gutters on your roof. If you also want to do some house cleaning in addition to gutters, you would do the house cleaning first because gutters are dirty. Of course, just because you have a great plan and a great set of contingency plans does not mean they will always do any good. If you get a call from your mom saying she feels sick, you drop everything to help. However, just because emergencies do happen does not mean that you make an emergency out of daily activities due to poor planning. Beware, however, badgering other people to plan like that is counterproductive. Beware, however, badgering other people to estimate like that is counterproductive. Still, much can be saved by simply thinking to oneself how to make the best use of every single minute. If you make this a way of life, it will soon become second nature. This does not mean that you're constantly whipping yourself to work harder. It is all about working smarter, and that also includes taking breaks, as we saw in a previous clip. Indeed, you can also make the best use of your recreational life with a similar philosophy. Finally, as I've said many times in this series, don't beat yourself up. If things take longer than expected, or you don't get all that you want done, don't get upset. Rather, learn from that experience to plan more realistically the next time. What is done is done. All you can do is improve on what you will do and enjoy the process.